Oh, we're not going anywhere. All right.
Just want
Well,
Super
I'm not
Metroid.
hanging. Yep, I'm not hanging out in voice call later.
I see a Metroid.
Yeah, it's Metroid. 100% one. All right. See you.
Right. See ya.
All right, all you Super Metroid fans. I hope you are ready. I hope you are super excited for the Speedgaming Live 2023 Super Metroid 100% item completion tournament. I am Kev Nastix, and I am here with Stovetop 1321. We are going to have what I'm hoping to be an extreme barn burner here. Hatz and Prof both like absolutely crushing it, absolutely playing at a high caliber, high capacity stove. I think this is going to be a super sick race.
Oh, and Kev, welcome in everyone. Stovetop here. Really excited for this race. Really excited for. Looks like Prof got all of his technical issues figured out. They're just getting queued up in the race room right now, and then they're gonna come out swinging. Both these runners have extremely strong times. We're gonna have a wonderful race, I'm sure.
Yeah, both runners are really, really good. ProfessorSchool has been around for a while. Hatz is definitely a much newer runner, but has really just come like really fast, like almost out of nowhere, improving his times over the last year, putting up some really, really sick paces. ProfessorSchool is just an absolute professional when it comes to preparing and putting together spreadsheets, going after practice, learning all the top tier elite strats. I know for a fact that ProfessorSchool is going to do a late croc route. Even though I am familiar and I have watched some of Hat's runs, I don't quite remember exactly what route they run. And sorry, I got a little bit of an echo here. I'll get rid of that in just a second. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I'll jump back in. I did peek a little bit, do a little bit of homework. We got Hatz on that early croc route, not the earliest croc route, but on the early croc route, which you all know I'm a huge fan of. So it's exciting to see these routes kind of diverge a little bit, but I'm sure they're gonna tear it up regardless. The old conventional wisdom did say late croc was gonna be the far superior route, but we've kind of proved that a little bit different in the recent years. The grapple aficionados like myself and Kev have kind of seen it a little bit differently.
I think I want to up my game now that I'm out of the tournament in the off season. After I get my either 122 or 121, I think I might just decide to grind earliest croc because it seems like a whole lot more fun. But yeah, I'm definitely a huge fan of early croc, and I prefer watching a hundo race with two different routes. Now, as exciting as it can be to see, we got 44 from ProfessorSchool and a 43 from Hatz. As exciting as it can see to do like room by room comparisons, I kind of like to see the juxtaposition of different strats and how they impact the total game. Like, is Croc RNG going to be a big factor? Is Fantoon RNG going to be a big factor? There's not a lot of volatility in hundo, especially once you get past the wreck ship. ProfessorSchool is going to have a much more dangerous wreck ship than Hatz will have. With one less E-tank, and then there's also the volatility of that ice clip. But ProfessorSchool is the kind of runner that if he's having trouble with a strat, he will do it until he can make it 100 times in a row. So I know his practice regimen is really strict. I don't know as much about Hatz, but Hatz has been a viewer that's come by my stream and has cheered me on in my Super Metroid gaming, and I'm just really excited to see him, take on the Professor. I think this is going to be a wonderful match.
Well, we're going to see whether Professor goes to school or if Hatz is going to get schooled, but it should be a fantastic game. They got some pretty strong starts here, like you said, both pretty close to a 44, a little bit under a 44 on Saris. Got some clean movement getting down to the planet here. Not going to see a lot of divergence here, but you do see, like you say, a little bit of a difference in strats that's moving through this.
Yeah, and both runners using moonwalk, so we are going to see moonfalls. And a lot of the run for both early croc, late croc, I mean, every category, you name it, have been optimized using moonfall or moonwalk. So there's a lot of normalized setups and things like that that a lot of new runners like Hatz, they just jump right into moonwalk right away. I actually love the mechanic of moonwalk. I like watching it. I like watching moonfalls. I just don't like playing with the mechanic activated. So I know I've kind of memed a little bit that I don't like moonwalk and all that, but no, I actually do like the mechanic a lot. I just don't like playing with it. It allows for some really neat setups. It allows for some faster play, and it allows you to drop with an uncapped fall speed, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it definitely is a really useful thing. And honestly, like I've been running this game for 3 years, so haven't been around for a super long time. But I still remember having to relearn Ridley when I was at that kind of like just sub hour, just getting started with the game kind of thing. And relearning Ridley after I turned on Moonwalk, and how much of a disaster that was. It's not just like a flip a switch and it's fine.
Yeah, it can be really unintuitive, kind of like some of the tech that we'll be talking about in this run, like down backing. There's certain Super Metroid movement tech that can definitely be unintuitive, but like anything else, the more you practice, the more you play, the easier it's going to be. So we'll see, and we've got some really good solid bombs times here. 451 touch for ProfessorSchool. Hatz just 1 second behind. I'm really hoping that I can keep my composure and focus on the strats and kind of keep the comms today really centered in on Super Metroid tech, especially because we have 2 runs we can showcase. Not only that, but the caliber of runners here, they've put so much time and effort into putting their strats together. It's going to be really, really nice to, hopefully talk about it when they showcase it. 2 pretty solid BTs right there, and we're going to have a
solid BTs there. ProfessorSchool got a little scammed on his drops, not too bad with those missiles, but managed to turn it into a pretty clean like 1.5 round or something there, but did let Hatz pull a bit ahead. But we'll see coming into Terminator what kind of strats we use. Are we going to see some door bonks, or are we going to normalize it, or are they just going to arm pump and YOLO, which looks a bit like a YOLO that didn't pay off for Hatz there.
Yeah, and we're back to near sync again. Both of the runners getting a clean Alcatraz, and I think we're going to see some nice. Actually, this is not good for Hatz having 3 missiles here. He's going to have to missile the pirates and hope he gets good drops, because we want to enter in. We want to enter with 5, and right there with 99 energy and 2 missiles, Hatz is going to have to kill both of the. Oh my gosh. Why can't I remember these? They're not wow.
Like the little orange things, or
God,
like
yeah,
the
they're
not
names.
gamers.
No,
Chat, help us out here.
They're not Zebos. Why Zelas? He's gonna have to farm both the Zelas. Meanwhile, ProfessorSchool getting that absolutely beautiful Kago through the Zela, and I believe did a diagonal door shot. That was pretty sick. Nice
that
mock
door
balls
shot
here.
saves about 10 frames, but if you miss that shot, it stings real bad when you're running around trying to farm.
Oh, he didn't do the diagonal shot, but ProfessorSchool did a really, really sick Kago through that Zela, which definitely saves a little bit of time there. Hatz had to farm, but we could see a repeat. I mean, Stove, I feel like you had a race with somebody that was really, really close. The lead bopped back and forth a few times. I know Hatz had a race with Hemzar that bounced back and forth, a bunch of times throughout the course of the race. Kind of what I'm hoping to see here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's nice to talk about tech. It's nice to talk about kind of what setups people can do and what kind of routes people have. But when you get that really nice close race, it's really fire. It's good to see for sure.
Look at that mock ball there. ProfessorSchool getting the reverse mock ball out of the reserve, and Hatz just missing it. That's roughly a 6-second time save to get that mock ball there. So we're going to see Hatz fall a little bit further behind. But honestly, in this early game, nothing really matters too much unless it's a disaster until you talk about trade or Phantom.
For sure. And Hatz, I do want to compliment Hatz that he did get that backup, doing the quick drop in and jumping out. That does make that time loss a little less painful, and you can come together a little bit faster, get out of that room, and get rid of your frustration, as it were.
That's one thing you're going to see runners that are in the sub 120 range, like these runners are. You're going to see that when their main strats don't work out, their backups happen almost so fast, you don't really notice a mistake has been made. Or you really have to know like this game in order to notice a mistake. Prof not getting the up and 2 right there, but that's not really a big deal. Let's see if Hatz can pull off the up and 2. Meanwhile, Professor School is going to do this really swaggy mock ball and hopefully a D-boost down Green Hill Zone.
Yeah, no up and 2 from either runner, but we all know up and 2 is a scam anyway, so we're gonna run from that mistake and keep it going. Pretty nice Green Hill Zone from both runners moving into the new bridge room. Got some nice setups there. Kind of interesting thing, both runners are on they're gonna go straight down Red Tower, so we don't quite diverge yet. We'll see that divergence in Upper Norfair. But no, we'll have to visit Crade Warehouse twice in this race.
Prof got scammed by the screen and ended up having a little bit of trouble there. It looks like Prof is rushing a little bit on the D-pad, losing a couple seconds, and Hatz actually pulls a little bit closer ahead right there, almost closing the gap with that beautiful scree boost. Damage boosting is something you're going to see a lot throughout the run. The runners are going to turn around and hold jumps so that they can kind of backflip into the direction they want to go in. Off enemies, you have a different kind of timing than you do off of environmental things such as sparks or spikes, but damage boosting in Super Metroid I think is cooler than damage boosting in like any game I've ever seen. I mean, Ninja Gaiden damage boosting can be really cool, but I think damage boosting in this Super Metroid is just superior to every other game. Ooh, nice quick entry from Hatz. Prof didn't go for it. Only had 3 supers. Hatz is out of supers, but we are getting really close together. Let's see what Crade has to say about this.
I don't know, I like to see DLC and maximize the amount of game I get to enjoy, so we'll see if either runner gets that.
You know, I want to quote something I've heard SM Charles say is that, you know, Crade gets beefed in tournament races. You know, that just sometimes your nerves kind of get you. You fire the missiles a little bit faster, or that claw's just not in the right spot, or you just like too much lag. Professor School going for a lag reduction strat. This is a normalized setup to save time and put you on the right pixel. Beautiful job by Professor School. Let's see if one Hatz can counter. Let's
Beautiful.
go.
Didn't he? Hatz went right through the commentator. Here's attempt to curse there. Both of our players picking up the Varius suit. Literally just like half a fanfare and a bit of an animation apart right now.
So look at their counts though right now. Professor School is sitting on more energy and 3 supers. Doesn't matter too much because Hatz will probably get 4 supers from Mini Crade. And now the missile count is near exact. Okay, so we're actually a lot better off than I thought we were initially. That's pretty good. Let's see if this mock ball looks really good. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good setup. That's a good setup. Let's go. Boom. A little bit of trouble for Hatz coming through the party zone there. I'm not sure if that's actually what it's called, but I call it that because it turns into a party when you mess it up.
It's definitely the party zone. Good job.
Some comfy little farms there for Professor School coming out of Crade. Nice mock ball. I think that mock ball is impossible, but that's probably because I'm just not as much of a gamer as Professor School is. And a nice super pickup there for Hatz. He's going to be in smooth shape, actually. I've missed whether Hatz that's a skip Crade drops or not, but if you do that, that's how you end up in this situation resource-wise, where you have to lean a little bit on drops.
You said doo-doo. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, but anyways,
Professor School missing that Sova or Nova, whichever you want to call it. We're gonna have to backtrack a little bit in that room.
Yeah, that does kind of suck. So when Professor School gets out of there, you're gonna see he's gonna move to the right and take out that Sova or Fire Gamer, again, whatever you want to call it, and then jump back up. So he's gonna lose a second or two. Hopefully, Prof doesn't have the same trouble with their internet and computer that they had against this Ream. Looks like we're back in action here. I
did poke my head into Professor School's stream a couple times over the last few days, and he's been reaching out to the community and working with a bunch of different community members to get that figured out. And it does sound like he's found himself a solution. Had some test streams that went really well, didn't have any drop frames, so we shouldn't have the slideshow that we saw last time. Actually, get to see him perform at his max.
Thank goodness. And that's a pretty decent cathedral room strat. Hat's going for about the exact strat, just slightly slower than ProfessorSchool. And again, a couple rooms and we're just a fanfare apart. So missing that Sova was just another little place where Hatz can catch up. And that's why Super Metroid can be so brutal. It really only takes one room to completely change your game. So, with runners that are just so closely matched, but like Hatz and ProfessorSchool, when we're sitting here now and there you go again, a little bit of trouble in Bubble Mountain, and you're looking at Hatz is having trouble in Bubble Mountain. So, I'm already excited for the back and forth here. You're going to see a little farm by ProfessorSchool. He's probably going to opt to take one farm. He might take one farm on the way out. Stove, if you come out of Speed Booster with 4 supers, actually, he's not even going to super this door. If you come out of here with 5 supers, are you even bothering to farm?
The only reason I would farm is because I can't do the strat to not farm. But I've seen ProfessorSchool will come out of this with sufficient resources, and 100% you don't need to farm here. Super missiles are your question mark, not missiles.
Now, what about making sure his reserve is filled if he has to pop it for wreck ship? It might be smart in a race to get this refill and just hope to get those reserves a little bit more filled. But it looks like he's just going to go for. He is going to take the farm. All right, not going to fill the reserves.
Come through the door and do one farm. I agree with that, especially like you say in a race setting. Make sure that he gets a maximum amount, because at this point, the only farms that ProfessorSchool is going to see are what he gets coming through when you come through Bubble Mountain. A bit of a fall from ProfessorSchool, big bummer there, but a good smooth backup.
Oh, near sync. One Hatz takes the lead right now. One Hatz opted not to farm with 2 supers. Looks like he's going to blow a super on a door right here. I probably would have missed it. ProfessorSchool Kojacting right there on the ledge grab, maybe getting slightly tilted by, double chamber, which a lot of people call one of the any % worst rooms in the game. But both of these runners are gaming right now, and this is what we call, this is a tournament race right here. This is a match for staying in the tournament, staying in the game. Really can mean any room. Already this has been riveting, and Stove, we're only 16 minutes in. And look at Hatz. Hatz having trouble in single chamber, and we have near sync right now. So, yes, Asreem, with Hatz visiting Croc area, he has a chance to fill up on super, so it's not as important for Hatz to get supers as it is for ProfessorSchool. But both runners are looking good right now, and here's where the route deviation happens at exact sync. That is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, so Stream's absolutely correct that you got a lot more farm options coming down in early Croc. That honestly, as long as you have 3 like Hatz does here, you're in pretty good shape, because you're going to use 1 to try to do that Doppler 2 missile 1 super setup on Croc here, and then you would like 1 to be able to open up the door to cosine missile later on.
Yeah, Hatz going to be at risk for getting some bad RNG here. Hopefully Croc doesn't troll him with too many swipes, because he did miss that super missile, which is kind of a bummer, because supers will push Croc back 3 steps. So if he had gotten, oh man, Hatz having a little bit of trouble here, and we know Prof's not going to have this kind of RNG. So it might be worth it to talk right now about what ProfessorSchool and Hatz are doing. Like, ProfessorSchool is getting ice, Hatz is doing Crockemeyer. For the uninitiated, we should touch a little bit on what the differences in routes are going to be, just kind of really quick, and then we'll talk about them again when we get there, while Hatz tries this wraparound shot.
Yeah, for sure. So broadly, we have early Croc, late Croc, but what does that actually mean? So as far as kind of getting into nuts and bolts, what you're going to grab when you're running late Croc, you're going to grab ice when you're heading up Red Tower, which allows you to open up some other strats, but as far as climbing Red Tower. But you do have to keep in mind that every enemy is now a 2-shot, right? Because the game mechanics says you want to shoot something to freeze it. Missing Alpha Spark for ProfessorSchool, a little bit awkward. Flipping over to Hatz. In most cases when you see an early croc runner, you don't see ice getting picked up until much later in the game, when you're coming out of Meridia. So kind of a bit of a different, adds some extra menus, but does allow late croc to do one of its signature tricks in Puyo Ice Clip, which we'll talk about once we get into Meridia.
And the other cool thing about doing the route that Hatz is doing is we're about to see my favorite room in Hundo. It can be a huge time sink if you miss it, but I really love this combination of this really sweet swaggy, like shoot the door, mock ball through the door, or bounce ball, pick up grapple beam, and then immediately come back out and do an Indiana Jones strat. So I hope Hatz nailed it. I nailed Indiana Jones in both of my races, and I was very, very happy because of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful strat. We heard Imperfect Perfectionist mention in the race, and I do want to give credit there, that this might be like the hardest grapple intended strat in the game. That it's just like, if you fall, it is so punishing. It's probably, I ballpark it like between somewhere around 15-second time loss. It really hurts if you fall.
I mean, you got a runner like Fat Scott who's creeping into the 119 range who won't even go for it. You know, to talk about how hard that strat is, you know, Scott will spark up and grab that missile pack prior and then just kind of jump over. So even really good runners don't always like to go for it. One Hatz showcasing that kind of newer farm strat through the cosine room. That was really, really beautiful. Showing the farming capabilities of Grapple Beam. Grapple Beam is much more than just grappling. You can use it to kill enemies, you can use it to open doors, you can use it to swing. Grapple has so much utility in this game. You got to wonder, like, you know, exactly what the developers were thinking about when they designed Grapple Beam. So Hatz making really good movement through the game right now. Prof is hopefully going to get this Ocean Fly. Let's see if Prof goes for Ocean Fly. Really up, just going to do a 2-spark here. Only loses a little bit of time and is very, very safe. And Hatz. I think I saw Hatz
taking a little bit of a dip there.
Good backup.
I can't talk. I fall in that room plenty of times. The unfortunate thing for Prof is he did take a little bit of a nip into the Vile Plumes there, losing a little bit of time. But again, we're not going to really know where these runners are at until the sync up near the end of the game, after
X-ray, more like.
Pretty much in X-ray, like below Spazer at the very earliest.
I do want to mention that, you know, you saw how quickly Hatz was able to do the backup after missing that grapple. That goes to show you that Hatz has probably done that 1,000 times, which is why his backup was so good.
ProfessorSchool setting up right now. One of the things you often see with early versus late croc is some runners will go for X Factor strats in early croc, while late croc, because you want Ice Beam on for a lot of cases, and Spazer Beam, you're going to be leaving those on and moving into a Doppler strat. So fingers crossed that Prof doesn't get mean too hard or going for these Dopplers.
Feels bad, man. Hatz did not get the down grab red tower right there, but backs it up nicely with a power bomb strat and gets up there. Really avoids getting hit by that Vile Plume. Having a little bit of trouble. Like, honestly, watching these runners right now, watch these Dopplers. Come on, Prof, you got this.
Was that 5 or 6? I'm not sure there, Kev.
I think that was only 5, to be honest.
Yeah,
so
it looks like Prof did realize
round.
that he's just going to go for this clean 3-round, I'd worry about enraging Fantoon.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a couple race runners enrage Fantoon, myself included, in this tournament. And when I'm not enraging Fantoon, he is enraging me. So definitely understand how that's going. But, you know, watching the runners, one of the things you see about tournament play is, like, things will be going really smooth. They'll be really nailing some rooms, and then they might fumble, or you can kind of sense nerves a little bit when you're watching. I'm not sure what strat. It looks like Hatz is going to go for the spark there. I think that's the same strat ProfessorSchool did. That's really, really good. Reduces lag in the room and also helps you open that door really fast so you can get a D-boost here on the way out. ProfessorSchool doing a really cool setup right there. That was an optimal room right there. Great job.
Yeah, I actually really prefer Wreck Ship. I ran Lake Rock just for a little while to try to get more experience of the game, and I prefer running through Wreck Ship with Spacer Beam, 100%. Like, doing it with Wave Only just is kind of stinky. The hitbox is kind of funny. It's a bit of a struggle overall. The strats are just, I found, more difficult.
I'm actually going to agree with you on that. I don't have to worry about that so much, though, because I don't deactivate Spacer until I go to Meridia for Batoon. Because I don't do X Factor strats on Phantom.
Beautiful moat for Hatz here. Hopefully he gets his grapple. That's one of the upsides is for any of us, any of you who, like myself, who Ocean Fly is a bit of a struggle, it's actually optimal in early Croc to just grapple across moat and then charge your spark afterwards. Just because grapple's amazing.
We can point out the hundreds of reasons why grapple is better, but why not? Professor School getting that near optimal strat right there, getting halfway through the room. Meanwhile, Hatz is well into Wreck Ship right now, going to get ready. Hopefully his patterns are as forgiving as Prof's. And right now you can see, this time difference here, and then kind of do a little bit of mental math in your head. Professor School is going to have a much faster Croc area than Hatz is going to have. And here's another early Croc only kind of strat right here. This little bomb bounce with Prof gets second try. Good job.
Yeah, that's a tough strat for sure. The alternative there is either a YOLO jump that you'll see some of the really advanced runners go for, or you have to turn your high jump boots off in order to make that jump, and that really stinks. Prof taking a little extra damage. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him. Again, he's short that one E-tank compared to Hatz, which does make this Wreck Ship that much more lethal, especially coming back and forth through this spiky room.
Well, not to mention, you also have to kind of guess where your reserves are at. Gauntlet Spark is such a big time save, and it's such a big moment that, energy is going to matter a lot for Prof. Hat's doing a really good job here in the Phantoon fight. Looking like he's also going to get a likely 3-round. So let's... I want to see, does Prof go ballistic attic here? Street Sweeper?
I think most of us at this point are on the ballistic memes, but this looks like a power bomb entry. He's going for the really comfy strat. Looks like maybe a hybrid attic setup. Yeah. Oh no, that's a blue suit kind of bounce there. Depending on your timing coming into the room, you can blue suit and bounce that morph ball off that last set of glass and unmorph, and you will kill both that atomic and key hunter at the end of that room, which is a really sick strat. Unfortunately, didn't quite line up for Prof.
Oh heck, Prof's having trouble with those robots. I also want to say with what's the Thream said right there, it is good for Hatz that super didn't hit, because they connected on that second round with that super. You would have seen an enraged Phantoon, which is about 18 seconds more if you include whatever the next round of Phantoon is going to be. Prof is actually not looking terrible on energy right now. Should still be good. You do have to remember that he is going to take 2 hits in bowling. At least 2 hits. Most runners take 2 hits in bowling, unless he opts for the bowling spark, which will take out some energy. So what we're looking for is, when we get to Gauntlet, we're looking for Professor School to have somewhere around the realm of 232 energy for the bowling spark. I'm sorry, for the Gauntlet spark. So while Hatz gets into his spiky room of death and attic cleanup, let's see what Prof does from here to Gauntlet.
Yeah, Prof's energy right now looks pretty comfy. I'd be happy here. He did pick up a big health there and only took a waiver hit, so that's a big plus. Looks like he's setting up for a royal flush here, robot flush. So let's see how it goes for him.
Looks like Prof might have noticed his energy and bailed. Energy not looking as good. Still should be okay. He's probably going to jump up here after bowling. He's probably going to jump up, conserve a little health, and do a Shine Spark a little higher in that area. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see a top shelf short charge. Prof is really good at short charging. And I'm kind of wondering if that's what he'll do in order to set up for Gauntlet Spark. I don't know.
His health is okay here. I wasn't counting his I wasn't counting for sure, but if he's got 50 health in his reserve, he should be nice and comfy here to be able to do a ship refill skip, which I don't know. I'm a huge advocate for refilling at the ship. You just don't have to think about 90% of this stuff. Ballistics addict. No.
It tells me that you refill at the ship and you're like 4 minutes faster than me.
Yo, my new PB does not refill at the ship. That grapple shot there knocks you into the floor nice and comfy. You don't have to worry about that 1 frame window I think you get for a speed keep. And picking up gravity suit on Prof's side. I had a little bit of a fight in the worst room in Hundo here. Hopefully it doesn't go too bad on the way out.
Yeah, I think Hatz is, I thought was going to make up a little bit of time here, but looks like Hatz had just as much trouble in wreck ship as ProfessorSchool did. Prof comfortably out of it right now, almost getting that speedball into the West Ocean missile is really, really good. Hatz not far behind, but again, for those that might have joined us a little bit late, both ProfessorSchool and Hatz are doing different routes, and they're not like to converge until much, much later. I mean, we're talking like another half hour. Actually, more than that, to be honest, maybe 40 minutes.
286. I hope ProfessorSchool's got a really good handle on what his energy situation in his reserve tanks is looking like, because it's a little bit dicey. I believe he'll go for the angle down ice freeze strat here, which does save a decent amount of energy, but still a little bit frightening.
At this point, we're hoping ProfessorSchool, like you said, hopefully has about 50 in those reserves. Looking like he might need closer to 60 in those reserves. So we'll have to see. There is a really good chance though that reserves are looking good. Unfortunately, Prof took a lot of damage. Hatz getting that beautiful bowling spark there. We want to call that strat out. Saves a little bit of time, maybe a tiny bit of energy.
This is going to be just enough. I think he'll stop in the middle.
It's going to be sketchy though. You know, you don't want to.
This is really scary. Like Sasreem's mentioning in chat there, we're going to have a potential problem here. Please no.
Oh my God, that was a some brown pants kind of moment right there. But Prof gets through it. No Prof. That was really good, Prof. GG on that. Not losing a lot of time and definitely does not lose too much life. So GG, Prof. Let's shake that one off and keep moving. Good save.
Got some really nicely set up deboosts from Prof here while Hatz is wrapping up wreck ship. In decent shape for energy from Hat's side, but could use a little bit more. So ProfessorSchool showing that he's got far more courage than I do, going for those quick drops down through Crumble Shaft here. Definitely a frightful strat in my mind.
Yeah, talk about really being able to trust your D-pad, Stove. I don't think I've ever had a D-pad I've trusted that much.
I'm just going to agree. There's no getting around it. That's a scary strat. You definitely have to have your controller in tip-top shape. Or run on hitbox. Just saying. Could be a better option.
I don't know. Hitbox and keyboard is some kind of like sick wizardry to me. I just don't understand it. So I'll stick with my old-fashioned, Super Nintendo controller.
Really nice moat ball from Hatz there coming through. ProfessorSchool coming into the Brinstar cleanup. I actually find this part of the game to just be so tough. It's very deceptive in the difficulty of a lot of these strats.
It kind of reminds me of Upper Norfair in the beginning of the game in a way where there's no threat of death, but the platforming is so hard and there's so many impediments as you're going through it. So like you said, yes, it's very, very deceptively hard. You wouldn't expect it to be this difficult. You're not going to die, but you're going to lose a lot of time if you're not up to date on your strats. Hatz is a little too far left on this door strat right there. I think he got it though. And
Is
I think
setting
Hatz,
up for
Yeah.
a little bit of Teletubby huggy here, going that far back.
I've definitely seen him make it. It's gonna get this. I was gonna say I thought he was gonna set off his reserves in the acid right there. Unfortunately,
ProfessorSchool does
it.
not want to visit the Decora for some reason. I don't know. You wanna let them go and let them be free.
I mean, it's even more funny when you realize that the category 3 of the Decora was actually invented by ProfessorSchool.
Sure was. Not only is ProfessorSchool highly proficient and extremely focused on the game, he just makes his own categories as well.
Yeah, we're actually having a chat in the community section of the Discord, the SM Speedrunning Discord, and really you should follow these runners and check out what these runners do. You know, I think the casual viewer is only familiar with categories like any percent or 100% because those seem to be the tournaments you see, or like randomizer. But there are so many extension categories, and there are a couple extra main categories. There's just so many different ways to play Super Metroid. I think if you checked out the Discord or came into any runner's stream, you would find that there's a lot that we all can do in this game, and it's fun for all. So, you know, come join us, check it out. There's my
I do
plug.
want to meme for a little bit of a second here, Kev. Seeing Hatz jump up and down on that elevator a little bit. The real bosses in this game are one-tile gaps and elevators because they are impossible to hit.
Yeah, what does it have? Like 50% collision oscillation detection or something like that? Like you could be on the right frame, but it only works half the time or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, it's wild. Deer Force definitely knew what they were doing, but the non-coding person that I am has a couple question marks.
Well, some would say that this is a perfect game. Others would say that it is perfectly broken. But either way, we're all very much in love with this game. Look at the deboost that Hatz doing here, very similar to what Prof did. And I was talking about earlier in the match about how cool the deboost function is in Super Metroid. Like, I don't even know why they decided to do that. Like, hey, when Samus gets hit, you know, and we hold back and jump, let's make her do a backflip. Like, why? For speedrunners.
Yeah, it's an ongoing discussion, and sometimes it's definitely a kind of a horse that's been kicked too many times. But there's way too many things in this game that are just too perfect for speedrunning to think that something wasn't up.
I think it is proof of time travel, to be honest.
I thought that was Terminator, but that's a good option too.
Terminator is definitely proof of time travel. I agree 100%. Back to the run. Really kind of a rough room for Prof there right now. Green Hill Zone is kind of cool. You go through it twice, and you have to, like, you go through it twice. But that's the cool thing about this return is every strat that you learned at the beginning of the game has no value when you come back because your item set is completely different. So you're going through the same rooms that you did earlier in the game, but with like no semblance of how you did it before. Nice 3 boost from ProfessorSchool there. I love that strat.
Yeah, I think honestly that might be the only strat that stays 100% like at least close to the same coming through this area, because there's no weave, there's no down back and big pink. You're just flying through because you're not looking for too many more items here outside of space jump and screw attack before you are just completely flying.
Ooh, that was a beautiful Main Street short charge from ProfessorSchool right there. Had a false start on the first attempt, but cleans it up really nice. You see that he's got to charge that Shine Spark while he kills the crab with missiles, and then we get a nice ball on top of it to get in the fishbowl room here. Well done. Nice jump from Prof.
Nice jump from Prof. I don't know what setup Hatz did there to be able to hit that. Had a super in there, but I'm gonna have to ask him about it because I don't see what visual cue he was using.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's tons of different ways. It has something to do with how the camera moves when you set up to do that backdoor spore spawn. But it's funny because Hat's right there, everybody. He just got the actual first intended pack of super missiles at like 38 minutes in, which I think is just absolutely wild for 100% here. You know, because of that early supers mock ball that we skip spore spawn entirely, and then we just kind of don't even give him the courtesy of showing his face. We just backdoor and steal his missiles from behind.
Just pour one out for Buddy's spore spawn. He did nothing wrong, but just gets left in the dark, and then the planet explodes a little bit later.
So if you miss spore spawn, there are a couple categories that we could point you to that features spore spawn, and if you don't know who spore spawn is, depending on what runner you're talking to, you're not missing too much. But here we are in Meridia right now. Why did ProfessorSchool miss the super missile 3 times? Because, Butter, there's a particular pixel. There's actually a few of them that you have to stand on. And the way the camera works, you're shooting a super missile block that has to like appear first. Yeah, like kind of what Stove is saying right there. It's a little complicated to explain. Just know that he was not in the right position. And the only way you can tell that you got that super is that the screen will shake. So it's just a little bit of a strange mechanic. So basically the short of it is you have to be standing in a very specific spot in order to make that setup work. Dove, have you ever gained time in Meridia?
Did you have to call me out like that? Because my recent PB, I lost 40 seconds in Meridia, so...
In my recent not PB, I lost 40 seconds in Meridia, so I'm kind of calling out myself, too. But, yeah, Meridia is basically known for in just about every category for being a huge time loss. Like, your run can be going spectacular, kind of like my run was earlier today, and then you can just lose 40 seconds in a room because you missed one jump. Like, heck, Meridia, dude.
Yeah, Meridia, I always joke it's where good runs go to die. It's just not, it's not pretty. We got that main street, he'd I believe back up there, but it was yeah, Meridia is a rough time. I've talked about it with a lot of other runners. It's never just like a little bit of time loss. The mistakes you make in Meridia are just like you miss full halfie, say goodbye to 15 seconds. You mess up bot wound, which hopefully doesn't happen here. Boom, that's a nice 1-round top pattern bot wound. That's a tough pattern to deal with. So good job, Prof.
Yeah, so just to show y'all how spectacular that is, Prof got the absolute worst bot wound pattern, and like a pro, still nails it in 1 round.
Hat's backing up that shine spark there. Ended up bonking the door, or it looked like. Do we got a full halfie from Prof here? Ooh, that's a good setup, but unfortunately only halfway, but I'm sure he'll navigate the rest of this room just fine.
So top shelf halfie is the best case scenario for a missed full halfie, so that was really well done. So, and I would have to agree with you, Sisreem. I feel like ProfessorSchool has probably pulled ahead with this Meridia so far, but it is pretty early to call it. I know that both runners have really, really good lower Norfairs, and we still haven't fought Dragon yet, and Dragon is Dragon.
Yeah, there definitely have been a couple things that haven't gone spectacular for Hatz, but that doesn't mean that he's not playing extraordinarily well here. Like it's a tough area, a lot of tough strats, and not an epic amount of variety that you kind of gotta send it, or you don't get to keep going in this area for time wise.
Yeah, that looked like a good hit right there. Maximum damage on Dragon. Let's see if this. Oh no, Prof misses the charge right there. Has a decent amount of ammo to finish this off if he's quick, but we might be looking at a 3-round. Okay, Prof still manages to pull off the 2-round Dragon right there, which is pretty remarkable considering he missed that short charge for that Shine Spark. Doing a little deboost there for a farm, so losing a little bit of time, but honestly, that is, again, best case scenario for missing that spark. So Prof should still be in pretty good shape here.
Yeah, doing a good job. But Prof also only had to burn 2 supers in that fight to maintain that 2-round, which is something you want to hold on to those supers so you can try to pancake that Space Pelican in Lower Norfair.
You know what? Also taking a look at it as well, it's even not a big deal that Prof used all those missiles. Because a lot of runners have been opting to kind of empty out their missiles in Meridia to set up an RNG manipulation on Golden Chorizo when we go to Lower Warfare. ProfessorSchool going to turn on all his beams right there. You might notice that Varia's suit is off, and that is to make stand-up glitch a little bit easier later in Mother Brain. So really interesting for those in the know to see how these runners are planning so far ahead in their runs already. ProfessorSchool opting to get Batoon E-Tank now. You can get that on your first or second pass through that section of the game.
ProfessorSchool slamming home that blue suit strat in Aqueduct. That is a wicked strat. Super fun to do, super fun to see, but also comes with the risk that you might soft lock.
Yeah, I call that the soft lock special strat. You get the Yo-Dog boost coming out of the sand pit, and you get blue with that space jump. We might actually see Prof do that again. But to go up in Aqueduct with a blue bomber style strat, which I don't believe soft locks if you miss it, but it might.
It depends on how you mess it up. I have experienced soft lock there. Is this a? Yep, that's
full
a
halfy, baby.
Full halfy right up top. Nice.
Ooh, here's the
how's this
marquee
Puyo
trick.
ice clip going?
Marquee trick for this run, for this route.
Yeah, we did see Prof practicing it. Is that Puyo right? He might have got lucky. Hey, he did.
Oh,
nice. Heck yeah.
It was a little bit nervy right there, but Prof manages to just lose a teeny tiny bit of time on that strat. Still manages to get it. Going to do a little bit of practicing here with our horizontal bomb jumping. But very, very well done from ProfessorSchool. Showing again, as was said in chat by Crane, you can't spell prof without pro. Anybody that doesn't know the damage value of those X factors that Hatz is pulling off and that we saw in Batoon, ooh, bad spark there. Each of those particles, there's 4 particles. Well, each one will do as much damage as a super, so that's 300 damage. I believe Dragon has, what is it? Is it 3,000 or I'm sorry, 6,000?
6,000 health.
6,000?
Your best opener is gonna is gonna get her down with the spark plus the X factor can knock Dragon down to 2,400, I believe. But usually you'll see a 2,550 or a 2,700 based on the fact that Shine Sparking does damage per frame passing through Dragon. One of the few, if not the only boss that takes Shine Spark damage, and oddly enough takes half Shine Spark damage just because Deer Force wants to make it complicated.
I think the legend goes that Deer Force was playing around with a Shine Spark kill and you know, like think of it. That room is not long enough to get a charge for a Shine Spark unless you know a short charging mechanic, which is not talked about anywhere, which we're assuming is not an intended strat. So why does Dragon take Shine Spark damage? Was that room originally supposed to be longer? Where did short charging come in? Like what happened? This game is just unreal how it just kind of works out.
Hat's coming in for that blue suit strat. Are we going to see it? Beautiful execution there. Absolutely amazing.
Now, Stove, how does that mechanic, how does that work? Do you have to hold the shoulder button so you don't lose blue? I know you can't bonk a wall.
So the way that what you're looking for there, so you're gonna hit blue. That's your first step, and then you're gonna step into you want to stop moving, but you got to make sure you don't turn around. So you have to neutral your D-pad in order to stop, and the best way to do that is to stop on a dime using one of your angle buttons. So you're in that morph, and you unmorph and neutral the pad right at the same time. Really, really tough. Took me a very long time to figure out to make my fingers to do that right.
So I can only do that when I'm playing Containment Chamber. For some reason, I can't do it in the vanilla game. Go figure.
Hatz showing off a beautiful deboost off those menus. I think those are called menus. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Pants Room there, and getting that optimal setup to save a little bit of lag frames is by running into Shack Tool.
Yeah, one of the reasons why that reduces lag frames is because when you damage Samus and she has iframes, the game is only drawing Samus, I guess, for a less period of time. So there you go there. Anyways, ProfessorSchool nailing that down grab for that blue bomber strat. Absolutely beautiful. Well done, Professor.
Bogo showing what they feel about our friend Shack Tool right now in chat. I don't know. How do you feel about Shack Tool there, Kev? Is he a friend, or is he just something to leave on the planet?
You know, it just kind of depends. Like, I don't really have an opinion on Shack Tool. I kind of like having the break. So I guess I would call Shack Tool a friend. But I guess it would depend on what category you're playing, because in Rando, I hate Shack Tool. So in Hundo, Shack Tool is a friend. In Rando, Shack Tool is an enemy.
That definitely makes sense looking at the time difference. I'm kind of a jerk. I like Shack Tool on the way in for the break, like you say, and then I stab him in the back, killing him on the way out because he's in the way trying to shoot the door.
So that was a nice bomb jump from ProfessorSchool right there in that sand pit. Get that bomb over that little one tile gap right there. Doesn't have to fall down and jump back up. So definitely want to call that out. You know, Hatz is not that far behind, all things considered, especially with the different route. If things continue to go how they go right now, it's going to be really interesting to see exactly how far apart they are. Like, honestly, I would say we are within 45 seconds.
I was kind of thinking, Kev, like we're within a Ridley boss fight going a bit off the rails, and B, with a question of whether Prof nails that Croc spike suit once he kills Croc.
That's true, because that Croc spike suit can be something like, what, a 15-second swing?
It's I'm not sure on the actual numbers, but it's pretty big. Space jumping versus sparking through that X-ray room.
I think a lot of it also depends on how holding the spike suit affects your movement, because some runners will have slower movement trying to save that spike suit. So my guess would be anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds, would probably, depending on who you're racing.
Hatz almost trying to go for that optimal setup. For anyone who hasn't watched Shiny Zenny's tutorial there, looks like we might have lost Kev, so I'll have to try to hold down the fort here. For anyone who's welcome back, Kev. Anyone not familiar, the actual setup for that coming into CAC Alley East requires you to spring ball off the opening door's hitbox, which is absolutely insane.
I missed what happened, Stove. I got temporarily disconnected. I have no idea why, but nice little jump in to get that missile from ProfessorSchool right there. That was great.
Yeah, ProfessorSchool got some optimal movement here. Hatz setting up for this blue bomber strat as well. Are we going to see a 2 for 2? Might be a bit of a theme for this race, 2 for 2 with the caliber of these runners.
I'm super impressed. I really have to say. You know, ProfessorSchool's dedication to learning strats, and one Hatz just how fast they got good.
I think it might be a testament to us getting a little bit older there, Kev, because I'm seeing more and more runners that they just school us for how fast they get good. It's absolutely wild and really amazing to see the community welcoming people in, helping them out, and the pure finesse and dedication that newer runners are bringing to this game. Really awesome to witness.
I agree. I'm going to say, like, I feel like I was ahead of Hatz like 3 months ago, and now he's got like 3.5 minutes on me, you know? You said it, Butter. Them young kids and their reflexes, you know, no stranger to anybody. I'm 42 years old, and I'm sitting here like trying to hang with the young bucks, and you know,
says the guy that just busts out a handstand for fun.
That is true, but that's a different type of strength than you know, hand-eye coordination and dexterity when it comes to a D-pad. Yeah, dude, Finn, I'm actually going to agree with you that there is a possibility that early croc could be faster, especially with the new Shack Tool RNG. Or, I'm sorry, the new Shack Tool manip that has been found. It is, you know, and some of the strats that Guy Average put together there. I think that would be great. I'm totally on board. I love early croc. I just personally like the strats better. And that's just, I think at this point, it's going to get to a point where these routes are just basically personal preference.
I would argue that it's all like, for anyone that is in that 120 range and even beyond, I think it's at the point where it is personal preference of what items do you prefer to move through the game with, and what tricks do you want to execute yourself.
Well, look at times from runners like Susream and Sloters. Susream does earliest croc, Sloters does early croc, and I feel like they're tied on the leaderboard and at like 116x. So that's not that far away, and that's like in the top 10. You know, so seriously, like, take your pick. Do whichever route is more fun for you.
Yeah, if you want to slam home ice clip, go hard. Like if that strat is something you think is really cool, go for it. Hat's coming through with some nice movement coming into ice. This is what I had kind of been alluding to earlier, that you're going to see a couple items get picked up really differently in the run, and Ice Beam is one of those items where Hatz finally has to think about the 2-shot special.
Van Bara, I'm gonna say yeah, and no. It kind of just depends. There's a little bit of contention with Mr. Guy Average with a task that was made, but you know, these are runners that know way more about this game than I know about this game. You know, so for me, it's mostly about speculation, and 6 seconds really only matters to like the top 5 runners. I mean, it's really, you know, I'm with Susream there. I think if the community comes together, we can make it faster. There's got to be something else we can optimize. There's always something else that somebody optimizes. You know, it's just some new runners come in and they see the game differently. I even remember back in the 2020 Hundo tournament, Hodu Ruby had been away from the game for years and then came in and helped develop a faster plasma strat that Zenny perfected, you know, with the plasma room. So you never know when somebody's going to come in and just do some outside of the box thinking that just kind of, you know, changes the time here or there. Nice chronic boost, I think, by Hatz up. Just missed it.
But gets that backup
boost.
chronic, just sending it. Let's go.
Let's go.
ProfessorSchool setting up that optimal pirate room. Chooses to go for a bit of a slower or powerhouse. Unfortunately bonks, but not a big deal. Space Jump makes this room a little more forgiving, but it feels very good, I'll tell you from experience, to just zoom through those rooms with Space Jump.
All right, let's see this Ridley fight. This is what you were talking about. You know, it could just take one Ridley fight going off the rails to totally swing this race in a different direction. But Prof already starting with really good RNG right up front. Ridley's playing nice, getting some good swoops there and hopefully avoiding some pogos. And now we're in a good pogo phase. I feel like Prof is going to clean this up really fast. Pelting those supers right there. Super.
Get pancaked, Space Pelican.
Heck yeah. That was an absolutely mighty Ridley fight right there, and that's just going to help, keep Prof in a good spot right there. I don't know how many supers he unloaded. I feel like it was 7 or 8 charge shots right there. For anybody
10,
that
10 and 15, I believe. It
10
was
and
either 10
15.
and 15 or 12 and 12. I think he came in with 12 supers. He's got 22 supers, sorry. He's got 10 now. I'm not sure what he got for drops.
Yeah, for anybody that wants to know, it's 3 supers equals 2 beam shots. Supers do the highest damage per second, the highest amount of DPS of any of your attacks on Ridley. So it's become vogue right now for runners to... Oh, nice spring ball strat from Prof, by the way. But it's become vogue for runners to get a lot of supers and just really pelt the crap out of Ridley there. Prof missing the optimal setup for this Wasteland Speedball, but does get the Speedball right there and doing a really great job.
Yeah, the stream memeing on us a little bit there. Yeah, unfortunately,
just put
Prof
into
got
New
kind
Game
of...
Plus ROM.
Those
New Game Plus.
Disgigas were not playing nice for Prof, so he did it right. The game just said no.
I put in the wrong ROM. I should have used my New Game Plus ROM when I was going against Bress earlier. Oh, come on, Prof. Please get this. This is one of my favorite strats in Hundo right here. If you can get this D-boost off onto the flea. By the way, there's also, if you get a D-boost on that flea, you could actually get a D-boost if you're fast enough on that other flea up onto the claw. I've seen Zenny do that. It's a really sick strat.
Nice, smooth execution there from ProfessorSchool. Had a bit of a hiccup at the bottom, but those ledge grabs were really nice coming up through the top of Fireflea, and that's a really rewarding room to do quickly.
Yeah, not getting to see a Hoda Ruby special right here. No big deal. Not losing too much time. Pretty much when we get through Lower Norfair, we're going to see ProfessorSchool head straight to Crockemeyer after he does the rest of the Upper Norfair cleanup. Hatz is going to go fight Ridley. As soon as Hatz gets out of Lower Norfair, he's going to do this Upper Norfair cleanup. And then our runners will, quite possibly sync up coming out of Lower Norfair or going to X-Ray. So it's going to be really exciting to see how that plays out. But I feel like this race is much closer than it appears at this point, although I'm still giving Prof a little bit of an edge, unless Hatz can pull off a Ridley fight that was as insane as Professor's.
Yeah, I'm still hedging my bets on whether that spike suit works out for Prof. I think that's going to be a really determining factor here, depending on that time difference.
I am not going to disagree.
Ooh, that's a really, really smelly one there, unfortunately. Yeah, Hatz is barely missing the timing on those pirates. You have to wait until the pirates are either going golden or are golden in order to damage them with plasma beam or any other beam for that matter. So good time save, but definitely a tough room when it goes wrong.
All right, Hatz, I want to see this sick Ridley fight. I would love to see this Pelican get slaughtered twice. Unfortunately, not getting as good RNG as Prof and has a few less supers going in. Unfortunately, so pogos are good in like RBO. Pogos are good in like low percent ice. Pogos suck at 100%. It just doesn't allow you to get shots off the same way you can if you're getting swooped and all that. But Hatz cleans it up pretty good. Not as good as Prof's. Yeah, Heaven's Titan Prof did get Hoda Ruby missiles, just did not execute the Hoda Ruby special.
Yeah, the kind of comment that I'd like to make here is I'm in probably the minority camp of early Crocs saying that I'm not sure, depending, this again depends on your time, if it's worth it pumping super missiles into Ridley, depending on what your drops look like. You can do the fight faster, I'll concede that, but it does give you sacrifices later in the run when you're doing your Metroid rooms potentially a little bit different, or you're looking at something different for Mother Brain 1.
Yeah, that's a little similar. Is kind of what happened to me, Stove. I ended up only coming to Mother Brain with 9 super missiles because I was low going into Turian. I missed Baby Skip and I couldn't Crystal Flash. And I definitely pumped a lot of supers into Ridley. I didn't have any left after the fight. So it can manifest problems later on in the run if you're not keeping a close watch on your counts.
Yeah. Want to comment on ProfessorSchool here, and some viewers that haven't seen a lot of late Croc runs might be looking at Prof is like, why are you behind Croc? How does that make sense? Because Plasma has such high DPS, that charge shot actually nukes Croc in 1 hit, and then clip behind, pick up that E-tank, and then clip in front of Croc in order to get more chances at that spike suit, which Prof didn't even need, just grabbed him anyway. Grabbed it first try.
Yeah, Prof is gaming, Hatz is gaming. I think, honestly, just like watching this Hundo tournament with a run that is, anywhere from an hour and 20 to an hour and a half, depending on who's playing, and, sometimes a little bit, faster than that. It's ridiculous how many super close races we've had. Like, these runners are absolutely out of control. This has been the most hype Hundo tournament I think the community's ever had, just based on how many sub 120 runners we have and just how many close races our runners. Oh, watch Prof get this.
You get that noise. Actually, as much as I will hoot and holler saying that early Croc is where it's at, this cleanup section for Croc in late Croc is so much fun to execute. There's a wicked amount of awesome strats. I think another real cutie, if I remember correctly, was one of the first ones to set up for that super missile deboost, and then just a bunch of other wicked spring ball strats. And I'm a known spring ball enjoyer.
Yeah, we also got to mention that Hatz got the Hoda Ruby special. We were so keyed in on Prof getting that really swaggy deboost and really crushing this Croc section. We have to mention that for Hatz, the Hoda Ruby special. There have only been, I think, 1, maybe 2 other Hoda Ruby specials in the tournament so far. So Hatz just flexing some clout right there and getting a beautiful deboost in the upper North area right there. Wow, that was sick.
We are so close together here. Like my heart's beating out of my chest. You'll see Prof doing wall jumps up here. That's as a result of him carrying that spike suit. Don't forget, he can't spark or he loses that time save.
You'll see Prof holding angle down. If you hold angle down while you're jumping, you're not going to set off that shine spark. But basically, all Prof has to do is do a shine spark input, and he will lose that spike suit. So holding angle down is a great way to maintain it. Going into spring ball is a great way to maintain it. Look at Hatz getting that deboost right there. Really sick bubble mountain. Wow. And running into a wall.
You were talking about Firefly deboost. My favorite deboost in Hundo is that Bubble Mountain strat. It is so much fun to just go whoosh across the room.
It's also super hard, man. It's like one of the hardest deboosts in the game. I think I only make it like 1 out of every 5 times.
I will encourage you to check out Zenny's tutorial for that, though. It is really well done. So we got that sync up that we were discussing for most of the run on right now, where all of the items that both players have are the same. So the rooms you're seeing that Hatz is a couple behind right now, that's what the race is actually showing.
We are just over a baby skip away, and Prof did get that spark. GG Prof. Sick.
Yeah, let's get some claps and hype in the chat there. That's a really difficult thing to hold. That's a long time to hold a spike suit. I blow the Dragon spike suit, for crying out loud.
Dude, I can't even get a spike suit. Like, I have never gotten
nice little spring ball strats here from Hatz. Again, known spring ball enjoyer. Gonna meme on it a little bit. And yeah, just flying.
Look at this high five. So Hat's taking a little bit of damage there so he can get more run speed. And this is a new strat that I saw you do for the first time, Stove. That little spring ball strat into X-ray right there. Really, really cool strat.
Yeah, I miss it all the time, but it feels so good because you can just carry your momentum and keep going zoom through there.
I like that.
I momentum conservation is why I've ran Hundo for as long as I have, because I think it's just one of the coolest thing, and it's one of the few categories you get the movement set where you can just be all movement conversation.
I'm going to echo the hockey towner from ages ago. Conservation of momentum, economy of movement, and Crunchy like calling this the video game version of parkour.
Prof moving into what I would consider to be the most unforgiving part of Hundo. This area just, from my experience, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kev and chat, there aren't a lot of intermediate strats that are available. You kind of just have to go for the best, or you're just kind of floundering through the area.
I'm going to agree with you. I have watched 0 tutorials in my life for Hundo, and I know absolutely no strats except for what I like. You can kind of guess that. So like, kind of amazed I made it in this tournament to begin with. But yeah, I don't think there are any intermediate strats. It's just like pick up the items, try not to lose a lot of time. Good luck. Look at that from Prof right there. 1 tile gap. Beautiful.
Both runners went for that corner mock ball, unfortunately missing it. That's one of the strats I'm a huge fan of in this area, but it's really tough. There's no real good visual cues that I've found, which is kind of be like wink wink at chat. It's like, if you have one, please share it.
I cannot do that strat. Prof did the wraparound shot. Nice. I mean, we're an elevator and a room and a half away right now. I still don't think we're within baby skip, but we're close. Like if I'm the runners right now, yeah, if I'm the runners right now, I'm sweating baby skip.
Yeah, I'm like fidgeting in my seat for this race. Oh, Hatz just barely
I
too
hate
low.
it when that happens. Nice backup though, Hatz. Lost about 2 seconds right there, not being able to shine spark. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that room stinks when you have to actually jump across it. Might be one of the worst rooms in the beginning of the game, and it just is the echoes of the past. And when you can't spark across it.
Yeah, Amrovsky, I hate that mistake. Like I have made that mistake on PB Pace and Hundo so many times, I almost quit the category for life.
It got its claws in you though, didn't it?
Right. Still not my favorite category, but definitely in my top 4.
Well,
Maybe
not all
top.
of us casually run RBO, okay? So we can't all be gamers.
Yes, I run RBO for fun. I run Hundo when I want to suffer.
Right, Hat's going to the dentist office while Prof is setting up at the G4 room. A little moment of reflection for him about the run, and more HPGA practice, just for funs.
If I could bomb jump like anybody, I would like to bomb jump like Sisreem and King of the Hill.
I want to give a little shout out to Slow Guy with the dashless world record, with the amount of horizontal bomb jets you got to do there.
I still have to see that. Dashless is sick. So we had a call in chat that we were about 40 seconds behind. Fairly accurate. I think it's a little bit more than that between the two runners. But Turian holds some of the most difficult technical rooms in the game to do optimally. So Prof, has this. It's Prof's race to lose, but he's going to have to execute.
Prof has wicked Metroid rooms. We're in for a treat here, chat.
Oh, let's go.
This is a bit of what I was talking about earlier, that you make concessions speeding up your Ridley fight, but you might lose time later. That's 95% of that strat. We're going to call it perfect.
You're hoping to leave there with 10 supers. I mean, in Hundo, 7's not bad, but 10 would be better.
7's fine. I believe Prof goes for the down bag zep skip, so he doesn't the down bag zep skip. Does he go for the second zep skip? I can't remember.
I don't know. I know it's something that he's capable of and can do as a backup, but we're going to see right here a nice little bomb spread for the Stachio skip setup. The bomb spread version pushes the Metroid down a little bit lower. I've heard it's easier, but I've never done Stachio skip. It looks like Prof got it, but it's harder for me to tell. Oh, I nailed it. GG, Prof.
Makes me hold my breath each time because I know so little about Stachio skip. And looks like Dirty Mike, who I think is a Stachio skip enjoyer, was a little bit unsure there as well. So maybe I'm not too far off.
Yeah, it's on my list of strats I want to do, but don't really have the time to go after. All right,
nice
Prof
grapple backup for that
right?
zip skip.
Oh,
no! Heck, that's frustrating.
So, yeah, kind of a bummer for Hatz. Prof is looking good, but, Stove still have stand-up glitch, and we have seen runners err on Mother. We've had 2 in this tournament, 2 Mother Brain deaths in this tournament.
Yeah, I want to echo our world record holder in this category. It ain't over till it's on the ship.
Truer words were never spoken. Prof is experienced enough that this should be in the bag, but you watch enough Super Metroid and you know that just things can be weird. They just get weird sometimes. Actually, Heaven's Titans, that baby skip strat is considered easier and more reliable than any other method of baby skip. I can't speak for that personally because I have never done it. But I've heard for a lot of people it's easier or it's more intuitive. I don't know. I can't do it.
The way it's been put to me is that the first jump is more difficult, but overall the strat is easier, and that first jump is easier to learn than the last jump of the regular conventional baby skip. But like you, I can't do it either. So that's something I got to work on now that I got knocked out of the tourney.
Stove, I worked so hard to learn the OG baby skip that I'm just mad that there's another strat I have to work just as hard to get. And I'm kind of lazy, not going to lie. Actually, I'm not really lazy. I just have a really busy life, as do you.
Yeah, I'm a millennial. Being lazy is in my generation, so I'm gonna lean on that and be like, nah, we'll just learn other cool strats.
I say I'm lazy. I've got kids to take care of and kids to feed.
Oddly enough, I find most people who call themselves lazy are not lazy. That's been my experience.
Then I am the laziest MFer you've met. No, I'm teasing. I'm going to go with that, Mike. The best strat in Super Metroid is the consistent one. Whatever you can do best is the fastest. Although I missed baby skipping my race today, so there you go.
Coming into the escape for Prof, doing some really cool, little tight movement. Escape is always.
What is?
Oh, we are doing a blue bomber flex. No, we're just having some controller issues, maybe.
You know, whatever it is, I mean, this should be a 119. Like, no sweat. Let's go, Prof. You can do this. We want a sub 120 for this run. And this run was not without problems. You know, I feel like Professor is going to be knocking on the door of a 117 over the next year. Maybe even better.
I don't even know after the next year. He is PB'd and taken a ton of time off of his time, even in the last 2 weeks of this tournament.
Well, keep in mind, Prof was also doing rando. Like, Prof can pretty much do it all, you know? Like, very comfortably in sub 120, probably within like 40 seconds of Prof's PB. GG, ProfessorSchool. Beautiful run. I know it was probably not without, you know, Prof's probably going to come in here all hypercritical of himself, but we love you, Prof. We love watching you. That was a very classy run. Very well done. No major serious issue there. Just all together, well together. Great tournament run, ProfessorSchool. GG.
Yeah, GG to Prof. Hopefully he'll have a moment to come chat with us as Hatz comes into the escape as well, moving into that Leodog's room, which, if there's going to be a room that's going to explode in escape, it's probably this one. So hopefully I didn't just curse Hatz.
Hatz doing well too. Unfortunately for Hatz, this is the... Oh no, this is not the loser bracket. Hatz still has one more, right?
I'm going to find out. Just give me a second.
I think Hatz has one more after this, because Prof beats Sisreem to get here. Oh no, did Prof lose to Gebu? Oh no, Prof lost to Gebu. So this is the losers bracket. So this does send Hatz home.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm looking at it. That is correct. That this is our losers bracket. We got a couple other races to figure out before we'll know who ProfessorSchool is going to come out with.
So absolutely beautiful run for Hatz. You know, a member of our South American community, I believe. Super great guy, super great runner. Really excellent to see Hatz do such a good job here. And ProfessorSchool, if this is 100%, we'll be coming away with the win. Oh, I'm sorry, Prof. I got to make sure we mark Prof. Let me get out the comms controls here. I got to make sure we mark Prof as finished so that we can get them in for an interview. All right, Prof is done. Hatz is done.
I haven't had a moment to mention this elsewhere there, Kev, so apologies to do it on the air, but we got to make sure that we don't end our channel right away.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure you did see that communication from the admin team.
Yeah, for the for Speedgaming Portuguese, which is another place you could be watching this right now. Again, we have a very great Speedgaming community, very great Portuguese Speedgaming community, very great worldwide Super Metroid community. Thanks, Heavens Titans, for that comment right there, and thanks for pimping the commentators in chat. Stove, this is the second commentary I've done with you, and I must say you are a natural. I love doing comms with you. This has been really, really great, especially you know, a good friend. You know, good friend over the last couple of years here in my chat, in my channel, and my Discord and all that. It means a lot to have you here with me. Hopefully we can get ProfessorSchool and Hatz in for an interview. It looks like Static Shock is doing comms for Speedgaming Portugal. Portuguese. I mean, Static Shock, tremendous, one of the finest early croc runners in the game. What a great night! What a great night for Super Metroid.
Prof in the house, GG Prof. How are you feeling?
Yo, guys, what's up? How are y'all folks doing tonight? Thank you so much for the comms.
GG, Prof. I mean, the night was good. You made it better. GG.
Hey, thank you. Sorry it took me a second to get in here. I accidentally clicked the link for the Speedgaming Portuguese, and I was in the waiting room, and Hatz is like, hey, man, I know my English isn't good, but I don't think your Portuguese is any better. No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. I'm kidding. but I'm sitting in there going like, I don't understand any of these words. What's going on? This is like the closest I get to understanding Portuguese is watching Brazilian soccer. So I don't know. I think it was a pretty good night. I'm happy that the changes I've made to my stream make it stop crashing, which is pretty sweet. That's overall good. It puts less stress on me. I have other weird technical issues happening now. I don't know if y'all noticed this. Samus keeps turning around randomly. The best example I can give you is in Escape.
Yeah, we saw
that in Escape. I thought you might have been setting up to do a Blue Bomber or something.
No. I have practiced Blue Bomber, and I will throw it in there occasionally, but it's not on the list of most accurate strats for me right now, so I've dropped it for the time being. We'll see if I pick it up later. 6 or 7 times throughout the run, Samus just turned around. And the best example, like I said, I could give you is like literally I'm holding right and dash and nothing else, and she turns around. And it's a really funny thing that happens where the physical port connection of the SNES controller to the console, it reads, I can't really explain the specifics to you, but it reads the inputs sort of in like this cyclical fashion, and right and left are 1 frame apart in how it checks for those inputs to register them from the controller to the console. And so there's some weird 1 frame off nonsense that's happening. I have a video of it. It doesn't just happen with right and left, but that's the most prevalent. Every time this happens, if I clean out my port with compressed air, it goes away for a couple weeks, and then it comes back with a vengeance. And it was happening a little bit in practice before the race, and then it happened like 6 or 7 times during the race, which was really frustrating. To be fair, I was also a little bit nervous because Hatz is a really good runner, and he is in a position where if I have an off day and he plays really well and he's primed for a PB, because I know that he is, I could end up losing a matchup that I'm favored in. So I was also nervous, and there was also, execution errors on my part. And, we could talk about a whole lot of those that cost me a whole bunch of time. But the long and the short of it is I'm happy with the run. It's my 3rd 119 ever. It's my 3rd best time.
Nice.
And before this tournament started...
GG.
Thank you. Before this tournament started, I had a 120.25. I had only ever run 2 120s in my life up to this point. And in the course of the tournament and quals, I've now run 3 119s and a 118. So I'd say overall, I'm only just starting to scratch the surface of what's possible, because I don't really know what my true average is, because I've been PBing too often, which is a ridiculously good problem to have, admittedly. So I'm excited for my next match, and yeah, I'll happy to answer any questions. I'm also killing time a little bit because I know that Hatz requested to be able to go in and do the Speedgaming Portuguese interview first, because that was very important to him. And I said, of course, I'll hang around. So I figure we can just kill time and talk about the run or whatever y'all wanted to shoot the can about, and until Hatz gets here, and we can congratulate him in person on what was, frankly, what seemed to be a very, very good run up until Miss Baby Skip.
Yeah, Hatz was doing some really amazing stuff there. I think my favorite part about this, watching both of you run side by side, was the amount of 2-for-2s that we saw. Like a lot of my favorite strats, we got to see like both of you coming into Aqueduct doing those blue suit strats. I'm a big fan of those. Just saw some really amazing play. Hey, going through Meridia especially, you were exceptional. How did you feel about your Meridia, Prof?
Meridia was pretty good. I think I golded something in there. I did. I golded the first half of Meridia, and then I was pretty close on the back half. I did short change my full halfie attempt a little bit. I was just a little bit low. I hit a bunch of quarter halfies in practice today, and I think I was just so anxious about hitting a quarter halfie that I ended up just getting the halfie. Lost a little bit of time there. Dragon was weird Dragon was really weird. Something happened with my short charge, and it sort of messed up my whole rhythm, which was unfortunate. But then the back half of Meridia was just, after Dragon, was actually really pretty good after a missing Wample jump. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was in pretty good shape over the course of the whole run. I think the Mama Turtle gold was like 4 seconds or something like that. So yeah, it was really good. And the really nice thing is my PB right now, my 118, pretty much golded or played close to gold for like everything up to LN. So it's really hard to run against up front, but I have a truckload of time to save on the back end. And I think I went from like plus a minute 2 seconds down to like plus 31 at Mother Brain. So there's tons of time to save pretty much everywhere. And that's super encouraging, because even if I have sort of, like, I felt like today was kind of an off day for me, both because of the controller issues and technically I just didn't execute the way that I think I'm capable of. And I still came within, 30 to 40 seconds of my PB. So how can I complain about that, right?
Yeah, that's really fabulous to take your what would be your time loss and half it in the last, say, third of the run. I do wonder, do you think those controller issues played a part in your short charge getting hecked up when you're trying to get Dragon? Do you think that might have come into play?
I'm not willing to blame that. I don't want to put too much off of myself. I think as the runner, my job is to try to control the situation as best as possible. My best guess, without looking back at it, is that I went a little off on my taps. It's possible that sort of thing can screw up my stutter, and I have a very specific setup for my stutter for those sorts of short charges. But there's enough examples of me just not executing where it really could be either way with regards to Dragon. And realistically, like, that was a bit of a time loss, but it wasn't massive. I had bigger time losses in other places, just because of, poor execution things. Yeah. But overall, like I said, I'm not going to really complain and nitpick this run too much. It's only my third 119 ever, so it's really hard to be upset about it.
Yeah, definitely an excellent run. I just want us to kind of keep shooting different stuff at you. Thinking back to Fantoon, I want to compliment you. Your Doppler count was like bang on, because it looked like you knew immediately that you only got 5 missiles in that first Doppler. So GG on that to not hit that enrage phase.
Thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate you pointing that out, Stove, because I've had trouble with that the last qual and a couple of my races. I've just been having this weird issue with miscounting, and I go for 6 or 7 missiles on the first one, and I kind of didn't get the final stutter that I needed, and I knew that I was on 5, and I actually put in 1 extra missile at the end that I didn't need, because I was sitting on 9 missiles and you need 11 plus the two pairs of 2 that you do. So I actually, on the final round, a little unfortunate I got the slow, but I put in 2 missiles and I put in 1 more because I was just, it doesn't matter. Like, what am I going to save freaking 10 frames on 1 missile and then risk an enrage if I actually miscounted and lose freaking 15 seconds or something like that, right? So I appreciate the comment. I did throw in an extra missile just for safety.
Well, I'm standing over here with a 3-round Doppler Fantoon, and I only get a 2-round when I do a Pop Tune X Factor. So I definitely appreciate it when somebody's just so refined with those Dopplers to know exactly what you have in there. So
thank you.
Awesome,
yeah,
awesome
the next phase is getting the 2 rounds more consistent. It's only about 20 or 25% of the time. And I actually kind of like that late croc forces me into a situation where I can't fall back on my X factors, because I have to work on these Dopplers, and that's going to be really important when I move on to other categories, like when I switch to Fantoon first, any percent, for example, right? Yeah, or when I'm playing low percent ice or something like that. So
yeah, definitely something where I feel like myself as a runner am lacking, that I rely so heavily on those X factors, and it does add that potential 3rd round if you're not able to 2-round, right? So that can swing your run a little bit.
It can, yeah.
Well, Prof, it just warms my heart to hear you so positive about your runs and so positive about your gains. It feels good, man. Especially if you look at your average run is just so much lower now than it was the last time you really put in a hundo grind. And with all the rando you've been playing and all the categories you've touched on in the last year, to see you come back to hundo, pushing that 118, It's just really super to watch, and I can't wait to see you live in November and go back to the diner and get some breakfast and talk about just how awesome this last year has been for Super Metroid, and hopefully get a chance to touch base personally on things we've talked about throughout the year. It's going to be really super cool.
Cannot wait for that, Kevin. And I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. I played a little bit of Hundo last year, warming up for some of the marathon races that I took part in, and brought my PB down a little bit. But it's been a long time since I've done a proper Hundo grind, and this one has been insanely successful. I've taken almost 2 minutes off my PB, so it feels pretty good. Looks like we're actually I'm taking over the commentary role. Sorry, I go into autopilot.
It's like all good. We appreciate it, Prof.
Hatz,
yeah,
what's
welcome
up?
in, Hatz.
GG, Hatz.
Fantastic run. Bummer about that baby skip, but you put on such a wicked performance. How do you feel about it?
Man, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I was so nervous on the baby skip, like my fingers just did not pull off the jump button, and I was like, "What's happening, man?" I knew it was happening. Like I was consciously pressing jump, and I couldn't release somehow. And then I don't know. The end of the race was just nerve-wracking for me because I I picked on the string, and I saw that I was really close and I could win if I like played out of my mind on Retro Bringstar. And then it all become really worse because I pretty much missed every room. So I feel good. I ended up 2 seconds behind my PV.
Nice. Oh man, that's great. With a missed baby skip, GG. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a sick run, Hatz. I got to tell you, just getting to meet you this year, you know, in my stream and dropping by and seeing you run, you have improved so much, so fast in the last 3 months. It's absolutely incredible. So thank you for putting on a really, really good show here. That 119 is going to be around the corner. Like you're so close to that sub 120. I hope you continue your Hundo grind. At least until you get to 119. Like, what are your goals?
Yeah, I think my goal I'm sorry. it was a 119, but now it's like a 116. I think I will keep grinding until I have something like that.
Sick.
But I really need to prioritize some other stuff in my life, and I can't. This game is just too much for
It's
me.
too good. It's too fun, right?
It sucked you in.
The claws get sunk into you. I said that I was going to quit after sub hour, and well, that didn't happen.
That's what this game does to you.
This game's, oh man, it's just a black hole.
That is so wonderfully relatable. Thank you, Hatz.
But I feel really good. I'm leaving the tourney with a smile, for sure.
Yeah, Hatz, I wanted to commend you on an excellent tournament. You know, I reached out to you a little bit before your last race to try to schedule potentially ahead of time, and I appreciate that. And you know, you were even doubting, oh, will I even get past, you know, Hemzar? He's such a good runner, and you had an excellent performance, and you pulled it out. And I think it feels good to get those big wins. I'm sorry that today didn't work out for you, but I think it's an excellent tournament performance that you should be proud of.
Yeah, I am proud of myself, to be honest. I did 2 PBs on the tourney, one at the qualifiers and one racing links. But I mean, I how could I say that? I expect too much from myself. Not in a bad way. Like I charge too much from myself. I don't know how to say properly that, but I think you got it, the message.
Yeah,
I
totally
we
understand.
we definitely we get where you're coming from, Hatz. No worries at all. Yeah, the game asks for a lot, and it looks like you give a lot to it. So I want to echo Kev and Prof saying that you you've come so far, and you've got a great, I guess, Super Metroid career. Would that be the right way to say it? Ahead of you.
Thanks. I really appreciate you all. That's some. Man, I still nervous about racing. It makes me so nervous. I don't think it's healthy, to be honest.
I could feel that. This is my first tournament, and I got knocked out after 2. So GG getting farther than me. But like when Super Metroid and speedrunning in general is hard on you, right? Like I think we all can agree on that. We had some discussions about what it can take from you, and it's good to see people recognizing that it can be somewhat of a battle.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean it's unhealthy, but it's really like the way you put on yourself. I mean, it's not going to give you like really bad stuff. You could just quit, but I mean, it's such
Can you?
No, I can for sure, but I mean, why would I do that? Because I feel so good playing that game, you know. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I'm sorry.
That's all right, Hatz. You've been into my stream. I just mumble sometimes. So, but it's been just great. It's wonderful to have you as part of the community. It's wonderful to have you all here. This Hundo tournament has been so exciting so far, and I just cannot wait to see the upcoming races, who's going to race who, and how the brackets are going to play out. We still have several weeks left in Speedgaming Live 2023 for this Hundo tournament. So please follow the runners, follow the commentary team. You know, thanks Speedgaming for putting this all together, and Zenny and all the other organizers. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, thank you all for all your kind words. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Speed Gaming, for hosting the tourney. It was an amazing experience for me. I was kind of hoping Prof would win this race, because next race I just have no chances at all. So it's okay. It's really the way it is. So thank you, Stove, thank you, Kev, thank you, Prof, for racing, and I really appreciate you all. It's a really
Appreciate you,
great
Hatz.
community.
Thank you so much, and
Thanks,
GG
Hatz.
to you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for an amazing race. Again, it's already been said. Follow the runners. Prof and Hatz are doing amazing work in the Super Metroid mines. Is there anything else we want to chat about before we kind of start the outro here?
I think we covered it all. I'm grateful to y'all for commentary, and to everyone for putting this thing on. There's a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes, and I really want to make sure we acknowledge that. So good luck to Hatz in your future grind with Hundo, and hey, bring on the next one. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of information. I was looking at the bracket. Looks like we got to wait for a couple more matches to wrap up to know where Prof's going to be heading next. But there is Super Metroid action coming your way all the way through from Thursday until Monday. We've got matches scheduled. We got Eddie versus Shiny Zenny. Prof, you're on that commentary with the amazing Hockey Towner. And then we got P12 versus Decalled on Friday. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern. Got Omni Gazer versus Merrick League, which I'm rooting for Merrick League. I don't know about y'all. A little bit biased there with him taking me out. On Sunday at 7 a.m. and again on Sunday at 2 p.m. Timon versus Nick Player. And then Monday on the 28th, we got Sloters versus Fat Scott. So a lot of really awesome races coming up. I hope y'all will be able to turn out for them.
Yeah, it sounds great. So that if nobody else has anything left to say, it's time to close down this show and get ready for the next one. All I'm going to say is I love you all and thank you. I will see you next mission, and take care.
Thank you.
GG's to you all, gamers. Be safe and be good to yourselves. Do something good.